What's up, y'all? So I was having a conversation the other day, and it made me think about one thing. And it's like, is common sense really common for everybody? And it's one thing for like the very bare minimum, the standard stuff, right? But what may be so simple to you may be complex to somebody else. And I was having a conversation, we were just talking about stuff, and I was like, I feel like that's such a common sense type of, thing to think about, or like a mentality to have. And to them, it was like very complex, right? The things that I was telling them, the things we was talking about, they're like, yeah, I've actually never thought about that before. And, I didn't even think about it like that. And it made me think about how people are just raised differently, how people think differently, how people operate differently. And it really just gives you a sense of mind to be like, man, when something seems so like simple to you, that doesn't mean that it's going to be simple to everybody, And in my head, I have conversations all the time, and it's like, how'd you not think about that? But then I think about, why am I judging this person based off something that they're not fully knowledgeable about, And then it kind of puts me back in my own place, and it's like, how do you put yourself in a place where you're like, okay, I'm talking to a person that maybe just hasn't experienced this before. Maybe they just truly haven't been taught this side of a mentality or a situation before, that it isn't so simple, right? And what we have to think about too is that, like, sometimes God has put us in positions to be like, okay, I'm gonna teach you this thing so that you can teach it to someone else that doesn't even know what that is yet. Right? I'm gonna teach you what it's like to go through a heartbreak, so that when that person comes through and that other person like has to seek advice, and what seems like it's going to be common isn't going to be common because you've already been through it, but you can teach them and help them get through that moment, right? And it's like, God, how are you like operating in these in our lives to where you're like, okay, what seems common to you is not going to be common to somebody else, And I just realized in that conversation alone, I was like, yeah, I probably, I should be more open-minded when I'm having conversations about things I feel like should just already be known, And there's nothing truly negative that has to be like coming from it. It could just truly and genuinely be like, okay, I'm having this conversation with somebody, and they just need guidance. They didn't have their parents in their life to teach them this common sense thing that is just polite to do this, or that, opening doors and doing certain things, like standing on the inside of the road as a man, is like a common, I wouldn't say common sense thing. Like, some people got to be taught that, but like that's what I mean. You know what I'm saying? Like, some people, they got to be taught how to actually do certain things. If you're growing up and you see that your dad is always catering to your mom and doing certain things, he's opening up the door, he's taking care of all the bills, maybe he's standing on the outside more on the road to protect her, maybe he's always locking the door, he's always doing things to protect and to show an example. You're like, okay, well, that's common sense. Like, I've always seen that, right? But then you get around someone that's maybe in a single parent home, or maybe they don't really have good interactions with men in their life, and they don't have a good example. That now, whenever you do certain things, they're like, why do you do that? And it's like, well, I always lock the door so that I can at least protect my woman, or I can protect myself. And they're like, well, I've actually never thought about that. Why do I need to even think about that? And it's like, well, do you not want to protect yourself? Like, what if someone wants to run up on you and your door's unlocked, or you're on your phone, like stuff like that, And it's like, maybe the training ground wasn't the same, and that's completely okay. And especially when you think about how God is like using people and putting people in your life to actually help you speak about your testimony, or speak about pains that you've been through, or speak about things that you, again, feel like is common, but it's not, right? And what you feel like, oh, okay, well, like, I feel like everyone's gone through this, everyone's already been taught this, maybe you're the only one in that friend group, maybe you're the only one in that team that actually knows what it's like to do blank. And now you have to teach that quote-unquote common sense to someone else. I feel like a common sense mentality is really built. I don't think it's really as common as people make it seem. You know what I'm saying? And it can be common, like, okay, well, I don't know. I can go on and on. You know what I'm saying? It can be common for so many things that I feel like could be common, and you're like, oh, actually, I think that's uncommon. How do you really manage that side of it as well? And it's like, it just depends on what really is fitting for you to actually understand how to like maneuver in the conversation. You know what I'm saying? Or maneuver in your life. Because what might be simple to me might be complex to you. And now you're like, why do I need to listen to this guy? Or why do I need to understand what they're even talking about? Maybe they don't know what they're talking about. They're just doing a bunch of nonsense. Like, stuff like that. And it's just like, yeah, I don't know, man. It's a whole thing. That's the whole thing. But I just want to take this video because I don't want people to judge based off of what you feel like someone else doesn't have common sense for, just because God's blessed you with that knowledge for you to have it. You know what I'm saying? Because God is always moving, man. God is always putting people in your life, taking people out of your life for different reasons. And the reason that God could have put somebody or put that conversation in front of you is so that you can actually just be a blessing and teach them something that they need to know. You know what I'm saying? Maybe teaching somebody that they should lock their doors when they get in the car, no matter they're a guy or a girl, will teach them how to be safe. Or maybe it'll teach them how to actually, you know, down the road as a father, you'd be like, oh yeah, I need to protect my kids, so let me lock the door. Or maybe, you know, let me walk on the outside of the street so that if anything were to happen, I can actually protect my girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just got to kind of plant the seeds and then kind of operate from there. So I would just say be more careful, man, especially when you're having conversations or you having those personal thoughts and you're like, man, that's just common sense. Why doesn't that person think or operate like that? It's because maybe they weren't built the same way that you were. They didn't go through the same situations and conversations and wasn't raised the same way that you were. And that's what you just got to learn to accept, honestly. You know what I'm saying? So be careful before you judge somebody about what quote unquote seems like common sense, because again, to you it could be simple, to them it's complex. So that's really all I got for you on this video. I just want to make a little quick video for y'all. With that being said, y'all, just gonna wrap it up. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you guys think about is common sense that you feel like everybody should know, and leave that in the comments. That being said, y'all, I will catch y'all in the next video. I'm gone.